Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Reese Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. I've been covering the college basketball transfer portal for a while now. It's been going crazy, but the college football transfer portal just had a big player that decided to transfer to another college football program a couple days ago. Tyler Buchner, the former Notre Dame quarterback, has transferred to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm going to go over whether I think that Tyler Buchner can be the starting quarterback for Alabama football next year, and whether I think Alabama football can be one of the best teams in college football again next year with an uncertain quarterback situation right now. Now, overall, the college football transfer portal, most of that is gone and most of that is done away with earlier this year, but there's a small window where the transfer portal opens up again right now, and some players are entering the transfer portal, some big names as well. But Tyler Buchner is a big get for the Alabama Crimson Tide in a variety of ways, because for the first time in a very long time, Alabama is really uncertain at the quarterback position, and I'm not talking about the Tua Tagovailoa Jalen Hurts situation. That was completely different because either way you go, Alabama had a stable quarterback situation. But the Crimson Tide, they've lost program legend Bryce Young, who is now the Carolina Panthers quarterback. He was just taken first overall in the NFL draft, and Hall of Fame coach Nick Saban is still a fantastic coach, even at his age in his 70s, but he does have a quarterback conundrum. And Tyler Buchner is the former Notre Dame quarterback, but he was never officially their starting quarterback overall. He kind of did take over the reins for brief, but then he got hurt, and then Notre Dame had to switch gears and go with another quarterback. But Tyler Buchner, he will now be a junior. He is not redshirted yet in his college football career, but he is a junior. He's a 6'1", 215-pound quarterback, and he is transferring to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And why, one might ask, is he transferring to the Alabama Crimson Tide? Because of the fact that Tyler Buchner would not have been the starting quarterback for Notre Dame next year, more than likely. Sam Hartman, who transferred him from Wake Forest to Notre Dame, will be their starting quarterback more than likely next year, no matter what Tyler Buchner did in the offseason. And for Alabama fans, that has them really worried bringing in Tyler Buchner, because of the fact if he was not going to be able to beat out Sam Hartman for the starting quarterback job, how is he going to be a guy that is able to lead Alabama to victories in college football next year if he's not that good of a quarterback that he can't beat out another quarterback at Notre Dame? Now, I think the big thing you got to look at with Alabama, back in the past, Alabama used to win with quarterbacks that weren't that good. Jake Coker, Blake Sims, you even look at quarterbacks like A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy. None of these quarterbacks are awful by any means, but were they elite? Were they guys that have had successful NFL careers? Not really, and the only one that has had any NFL career and is still playing pro football is A.J. McCarron. Alabama used to win without quarterbacks being that great. They used to be able to win at a high level because they had great offensive linemen, they had great running backs, they had great defenders, that they didn't really need their quarterback to be great. He just could not make mistakes. And you look at Georgia, they just won with a former walk-on in Stetson Bennett because their football team was loaded this past season. So I don't think Alabama has to have that great of a quarterback for them to have a lot of success. I feel like the Alabama faithful have gotten used to Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Hurts, who are a lot more dynamic than some of the quarterbacks that Alabama's had in the past. But Tyler Buchner, he's not that dynamic of a quarterback, but he's not awful either. He was 67 of 118 for 56.8% completion percentage, 949 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and he had 82 rushes for 459 yards and 7 touchdowns. So he actually is a dual-threat quarterback, and this is where the intrigue comes into play, because Jalen Milroe is the quarterback that Alabama has on the roster already that was backing up Bryce Young this past season. He's a redshirt sophomore, so they're the same year of eligibility, even though Tyler Buchner is a junior and Jalen Milroe is a redshirt sophomore, but they were from the same recruiting class, and they are both the same age. And Jalen Milroe, he's 6'2", 212 pounds, and he's only 34-60 for 56.7% completion percentage for 338 yards, 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and 46 rushing yards, 320 yards, and a touchdown. And again, the intrigue here with Tyler Buchner is that if you're looking at Jalen Milroe to be your starting quarterback because he's a guy that runs the football better, it's not like Tyler Buchner's a bad runner. Yes, Jalen Milroe can blow the top off of the defense probably at a much higher rate than Tyler Buchner can, but I will say that Tyler Buchner is a very capable runner. But both quarterbacks have had turnover issues. You look at Tyler Buchner, he does have 8 interceptions in his college football career, 6 touchdowns, whereas Jalen Milroe has 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's very interesting there. I wouldn't take too much stock into either quarterback because neither quarterback's played that much in college football so far, and you could even argue Jalen Milroe's had it better because he's had to come in mostly at the end of games. Yes, he did have to play some when Bryce Young was out in that Arkansas game and in the next game after that this past season, but Jalen Milroe mostly ran the football, and the design passes were really good, and Alabama's offensive line was better than Notre Dame's this past season. So I still don't think Tyler Buchner is a bad quarterback, but if you do look at the stats alone, Jalen Milroe looks a little bit better. But that's not all that Alabama has on their roster. You look at Ty Simpson and Eli Holstein, 2 quarterbacks that Alabama has on their roster, really talented quarterbacks, highly rated quarterbacks. And Ty Simpson's probably the one that has the leg up because he's a redshirt freshman. Eli Holstein, he is a true freshman. But Ty Simpson, he threw for 46% in an interception in the spring game. And Jalen Milroe, he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the Alabama spring game overall. So both quarterbacks did make a lot of mistakes. But I do think that Jalen Milroe will have a leg up over Ty Simpson. Even though Ty Simpson is really talented, I think he will play eventually in the future for Alabama. And he's a dual threat quarterback as well. One thing Alabama has in common with all their quarterbacks is they can run the football right now with everybody they have on the roster, including now bringing in Tyler Buchner. But Ty Simpson, a really talented player, but I don't think he will be ready yet. Jalen Milroe, again, had a rough spring game with the 2 picks, but wasn't completely awful. He had 2 touchdowns as well, and he did flash his ability overall. But he has the leg up over Ty Simpson because of the fact that he is a guy that has been in college football longer and has experience playing in football games over Ty Simpson at Alabama already. And Tyler Buchner, you could say, has the leg up on Jalen Milroe because he's played the most football of all the quarterbacks. But Jalen Milroe, he has been at Alabama, and he's been a guy that has been in with their program going into his 3rd season, so you could say that that leans his way. But why did Tyler Buchner transfer to Alabama? Because he could have gone to any other program in college football and probably had a great chance to start, but he transferred to Alabama because Tommy Reese is the new offensive coordinator for Alabama, and he was the former Notre Dame offensive coordinator. And to me, that is a big reason why Tyler Buchner transferred to Alabama, is because of Tommy Reese. If it wasn't for Tommy Reese, he would not be going to Alabama, even if Tyler Buchner believed he could win the starting job at Alabama. I'm not saying that automatically makes Tyler Buchner the starting quarterback, because I still feel like Jalen Milroe has that advantage of already being in the Alabama program, of already having played in the spring game and playing some football for the Crimson Tide. But Tommy Reese is the offensive coordinator for Alabama, and Tyler Buchner has that connection with him, and I don't really feel like Tyler Buchner would have transferred into Alabama to be the backup quarterback. So at the very least, I think that Tyler Buchner will be the starting quarterback in Week 1 for Alabama next year. That doesn't mean he's going to stay the starter. He could struggle, and then Jalen Milroe does get a crack at it and performs at a much higher level. We have no idea how this thing's going to shake out by the end of the season. But I really have a hard time believing that Tyler Buchner passed up all these other programs that he could have transferred to in college football, but he did decide to go to Alabama, risk the chance of not being the starter, and to have that chance to be the starting quarterback for Alabama. I really feel like he will be the starting quarterback in Week 1 because Tommy Reese is the offensive coordinator. He knows Tyler Buchner's style of play, and I think that the mesh will fit in. Now, does that mean that Alabama's going to have a lot of success? Because I know a lot of Alabama fans are really worried. Will they be a good football team next year? I still think Alabama's going to be a team that at least goes 9-3 or 10-2 at the worst because they have a great football team. You can have a team that doesn't have a great quarterback, but if the rest of the roster is fantastic, you can get by as long as the quarterback doesn't make mistakes. So really, it's going to come down to Tyler Buchner and Jalen Milroe, who can come into the game and make fewer mistakes for Alabama. None of these quarterbacks are going to be Bryce Young or Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts anytime soon unless they get a lot better really quick. But for Alabama football, even if they do take a slight step back next year, not making the college football playoff again and maybe losing 2 or 3 games, I still feel like Alabama's going to be a great team, and I really feel like they could still be an 11-1 or 12-0 team as well if they have the rest of the roster playing at a high level. And Alabama's working really hard to get back to that level. They want to get back to beating Georgia, but I do feel like Tyler Buchner, he does have some flaws. He needs to work on cutting down his interceptions, but he is a capable runner, and I do think that he will have more success being surrounded by better players at Alabama than he had at Notre Dame, and he's going to have that familiar connection with Tommy Reese. I feel like Jalen Milroe's time could come in the future, or Ty Simpson's as well for Alabama in future years, but I feel like this season, at least in Week 1, Tyler Buchner will be the starting quarterback because he did not transfer to Alabama to be on the bench, and he has that connection with Tommy Reese, so I feel like he will start right out of the gate, but I feel like Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson could start in the future. But for Alabama football, I think this is a big transfer portal addition in the very least to get Tyler Buchner, because if Tyler Buchner even isn't the starting quarterback, it does provide competition for Jalen Milroe, and it will be able to potentially make all the quarterbacks in the room better, having another player that has some experience in college football being on the roster. So at the very least, you have to look at it as a net positive because Tyler Buchner is a guy that has some experience transferring in from a program, and you're going to be able to get a guy that has the connection with your offensive coordinator and Tommy Reese now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how good Alabama football will be next year, but I do think Tyler Buchner is a big addition, and I do feel like Tyler Buchner, because of that connection with Tommy Reese, and he could have transferred to another program, I feel like Tyler Buchner will be the starting quarterback for Alabama in Week 1, 2023, but it will be very interesting to see whether Tyler Buchner or whoever starts at quarterback for Alabama next year, how good of a job they do and how good Alabama will be next season. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content, like this video down below, comment down below what you think about Tyler Buchner transferring from Notre Dame to Alabama, whether you think Tyler Buchner will be the starting quarterback for Alabama in Week 1 next season because of the Tommy Reese connection or for any other reason as well. Follow me on Twitter as well, link is in the description, and I will see you next time.